Hello everyone, I hope you are well. Seriously, I hope you are. I am kitsune-fuzzy and welcome to part 8 of my game's devlog. This has been a rough week for me. I wanted to start working on a small robo enemy. I did a few short attempts last week, but it was too hot to concentrate for something like this. I don't consider myself to be a very creative person when it comes to character design. So for inspiration I generated some suggestions on Crayon, or formerly known as DALL-E Mini, an AI that generates images from text descriptions. The results are a little rough, but they can give you a decent base to start from. I let it generate some robot gorilla video game character sheets for me and I got a few nice results from it. I saved a handful of images for reference, and the general idea that I got is that all enemies are some sort of robot as an invasive species in the game world. Kind of like nature versus machine, and this could build up to where the game's later worlds and finale lead to, maybe. Now, with reference materials at hand, I had to face my first problem of this week. I had to come to the realization that I have very little knowledge about hard surface modeling or sculpting. So I guess I have to start doing some tutorials first, and now half of my YouTube starting page suggestions is hard surface sculpting tutorial for ZBrush. And then I just went for it. Another small problem was I had no concrete concept of the character, only these almost dreamlike AI generated images. So I had to make things up while sculpting and try out a few things, while also still having to try learning hard surface sculpting stuff at the same time. But with a bit of patience I started getting somewhere. Then, as if it couldn't get any worse for time management this week, I got sick and I spent a little more time in the bathroom than at my desk. Great. But as soon as I got better I continued to sculpt in ZBrush and things started taking shape now. At least, a little. I don't know if there is much to go into detail here, but this took most of the time this week. My general schedule I try to adhere to for these videos is to do development stuff from Monday to Thursday, then edit the video on Friday and put it up on Saturday. So with one sick day this week I basically had 3 days to learn some hard surface sculpting techniques, create a character, and a bit later in the video I'm gonna retopologize it. I would also put up a disclaimer here that this part should not be considered a tutorial, since I'm still learning things in ZBrush myself. But here I redid the main body of the robot and made this T-shaped thing that I duplicated with an array mesh. And I think it helped with the general look. I also used an insert mesh to put this handle on his back, like he comes from a factory line where they are mass produced. Then I started cleaning up his shoulder plate and doing a few things here and there, before giving his feet some shape. And now I got half the internet's attention. Did you say feet? Just kidding. And finally I gave his lower arms some shape. It doesn't need to be too clean since I'm gonna retopologize it anyway, and moving things around with only a few vertices becomes a lot easier than trying to get a shape just right with tens if not hundreds of thousands of vertices. And with the rough model done I sent it to Blender to retopologize it. I think it can also be done in ZBrush, but I feel like I have more precision doing this with the mouse and cursor here. I don't think there's much to say here, it's the usual manually reducing the poly count of the model to get it game ready. I guess I can talk a bit about the way I do this. I like using an add-on that comes with Blender, called B-Surfaces. If you want to use this too, you can go into Blender's Preferences, Add-ons, and search for B-Surfaces and activate it. It does all the groundwork for retopologizing. It creates an object with a shrink wrap modifier, and you can also click another button to add a mirror and subdivision modifier. It also activates surface snapping and has a checkbox to render the object you are working on in front of everything else, so it doesn't sink into the high poly model, at least visually, and makes it easier to work with. Now it was just hours of doing this. And at this point I can also set UV seams for later unwrapping and texturing. I have a lot of video recording doing this, but I feel like it would quickly get kind of boring, so let's cut ahead. Now that I was done I had to realize it doesn't have the slightest monkey resemblance. But with a low poly model this is absolutely no problem. I can just hide the robo jaw and extrude the mouth like this. Add lips with bevel, pushing the center in a little and mark the edges as sharp. And since this is Blender, I can easily switch to sculpt mode and push things around here and get a better shape with the move and smoothing tools. At this point it was 3 AM on Friday for me and I still had to make a video for Saturday. So that's where I stopped for this week. Now it is 3 AM on Saturday and I'm just finishing with video editing. And just at this moment I got a small late night surprise. A while ago I signed up on the waitlist for the full version of DALL-E that generates way better and more detailed images than DALL-E Mini or Crayon, and I just received an invite. Oh man, I'm so excited to take a look at this. And hopefully it can help me generate better ideas for enemies or level designs. Anyway, I hope I can get this little robot dude textured, rigged and animated next week to bring him in-game and take a look at AI so he will be able to bother you a little. And as always, I want to thank my patrons Yaya Danbus, Nathaniel Page, Ori Don't Official and every smaller supporter who help making this project possible. And if you liked what you saw, then please leave a like, and if you don't want to miss further progress on this project, then hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye!